Hey guys, welcome back. Thanks for tuning back in. Hopefully you're doing good and having a great day. I love you all and so glad that you're here. Today we're talking about depression. Yes, depression. Depression is a very tricky subject simply because the human psyche is so complex. It's kind of hard to narrow down depression in one thing, right? But I will try my best to break things down. Obviously, I'm not a professional, but as someone who has been through depression, hopefully I can help you guys out that are going through it or have been through it already. And for those of you who already have been through it, leave a comment in the comment section. Help us out a little bit, all right? What are your experiences and what are some of your thoughts on the video today? All right, so that would be greatly appreciated, not just by me, but also the family here, the community here on the Home Turf, right? We want to make sure we want to help people out, and so whatever you got, share with us, okay? But back to it. Depression. How is it that someone gets into depression? Well, there's a number of ways. But what I would break it down to is there's always going to be something that's external, right? Something traumatic that happened to us from someone or something else, or or internal, right? Traumatic event that maybe we have caused for ourselves or we caused for others. Maybe it's something that we did or didn't do that may have caused this traumatic event. And for the external, maybe it's something that happened to us, like someone brutally beat us, or childhood type stuff, maybe an essay, or maybe bullying, right? And so there's a number of things that really throws us into a depression. But I would say most of it would be something external. Now, every now and then, right, we will come across something where maybe we regret doing, and that also throws us into a depression. But I would definitely say for most cases, it's people who had something happen to them. It seems to be most of the case, anyways, from all of my research. And I mean, given the social, economic, and political parameters of today, it really only makes sense why so many people would be in depression. Because, I mean, for one, for my boys out there, men are constantly beaten down no matter what. We're constantly taken advantage of. We're constantly mocked, scrutinized, criticized, and just outright hated. And for the ladies out there, a lot of the times you're told one thing, right? And then you're told another thing, and then you're told this thing and that thing and that thing and that thing, and it's really confusing. Everyone's really told this and that, this and that, this and that, this and that, and there's so many contradictions. There's no truth anymore, right? We've been led to believe a lie, and there's no truth. And oftentimes, we have to do 10 times the work to find the truth than it is to just believe a lie. That's why a lot of people would just believe a lie instead of believing the truth, because the truth is so hard to find, it's so hard to handle, that this looks more appealing. That's the animal nature within us, right? To accept the easiest and shortest path. That's why we choose this very often. But, you can't do that. And so oftentimes, right, since we're so frustrated with everything that's going on, we talk past each other. We don't talk to each other. We talk past each other. We just want to be heard, but we're not also willing to listen. And some of us are willing to listen, but then we become so frustrated with people who don't. Ultimately, we just give up. We give up and we withdraw. We become hermits, right? And that seems to be most people today. And people just give up on each other, and then they also give up on themselves. and they wonder why they're depressed. Well, I mean, you gave up. You can't give up, man. I mean, I've been through so much, you know, being kicked out of the Air Force from, refusing the vaccination, divorced, um, had to walk away from friends and family, betrayed a lot. I've been hurt a lot, guys, you know, and and don't even start on my childhood. Now I wouldn't say that I had a good childhood, but it was definitely better than a lot of other kids. And so even though, I saw alcohol abuse, I saw drug abuse and domestic violence as well, I still had a better life than some kids. And I'm not going to knock that at all. But a lot of the stuff that does happen in your childhood too can really shape, your depressive state. And sometimes you got to go way back into your childhood to really face some dark trauma. Um, and well, I look at Jonathan Davis when he wrote "Daddy." That song is incredibly tough to hear, and I can imagine it was incredibly more tough um, to sing and write. But in a way, something like that is very therapeutic because this is something that you're sharing with someone else, and I think that's really important when it comes to healing with depression. Um, because you can share your thoughts, your attitudes, your just your season of trials through many different things. For Jonathan Davis, it's music, right? For me, right, it's many different things. It's music, it's dioramas, it's making these necklaces here, which I don't really do much of anymore because my body just can't really handle it. And it's also sharing my stories here with you on YouTube. All of this stuff is very therapeutic because I'm sharing my trials and my triumphs both with you. And everyone's going to have their days. Everyone's going to have their setbacks. Everyone's going to have their own issues, their own problems that they're working through. But I definitely think sharing is something that gives you an opportunity for perspective, right? Gives you an opportunity to learn and grow, not just within yourself, right? But also external as well. That's why I tell you guys, look, find a good group of friends that will tell it to you like it is, right? Whether you want to hear it or not, right? That's how you know you have some real friends. If they're willing to hurt your feelings, to tell you the truth, tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear, you've got some good friends. Just saying, all right? But sharing with them, your traumas, right? Your trials ultimately can turn into your greatest triumphs. And so just like it is to, have something happen external or internal that threw you into a depression, so can that get you out of it as well. But what you also have to understand too is that what gets you out of depression is not someone else, right? It's you. It's you, right? Because it comes within here and in here. In here, because it has something to do with your psyche. You have a broken psyche and you have to repair that, right? You have to face the trauma, accept it for what it is. And then here to find the will to do whatever it takes to get out of it. And so it helps to have those external factors, right? Your friends, family, a support network, to push you through, right? Whenever you need it, but ultimately within yourself to drive yourself out of it, right? And so, little story of mine. I've mentioned this quite a bit. I believe it was a day or two after my ex-wife said she wanted a divorce, and we had been together for a few years, and um, I was desperately trying to fix the marriage. You can't really do that because one, choose your battles, right? The relationship was already done, right? She said she wanted out. I wasn't letting that happen. I should have walked away, right? But I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I've already moved on. I wish I wish her the best. But I quickly learned that a bottle isn't going to help you. Because ultimately what I did was I ended up calling, one of her friends, and because they were planning on coming up and visiting, and I had told them that I'm not going to be here when it happens, and I was bawling, I was crying, and she tried consoling me, and then got off the phone, and I remember staring at the bottom of the bottle and thinking, what in the fuck am I doing? What in the whole fuck am I doing? This isn't helping me. This isn't helping me at all, And so oftentimes when we get into depression, our brains are so fried, so scrambled, we look for short-term solutions instead of facing the toughest things about ourselves, right? And thinking long term. We look for an escape, right? Instead of a fight. And I don't mean a fight as in something to necessarily achieve, right? Fighting someone else. What I mean is fighting whatever it is that is keeping us in this bubble, in this depression, right? Fighting to overcome is what I'm talking about. We would much rather run away from the issues instead of fighting the issues. And so you can call them demons, right? Fighting your demons. That's a good way to put it. But ultimately, we do things to run away, to not feel, instead of diving headfirst into feeling, right? Because listen, we all have them, right? And we all have to sort through them. That's very important. Because if we just bottle things up, that's when things get really bad. And so those aren't coping mechanisms. But you have to think long term. You can't think short term, man. That's not going to get you out. And so internally, right? What is it that fixes us internally? That's finding love for ourselves again, right? Oftentimes when something happens to us, we look at ourselves a certain way, right? Whether it's a mistake that we made, we start hating ourselves because of that mistake that we made. Or if it's something that happened to us, right? There's a certain way that we feel about it as well, right? Maybe we were abandoned as a kid. Maybe we were abandoned as an adult and we got into depression that way. We start thinking that we are not worth it, right? That's some of the worst things that you can really do, because then you're fighting yourself. And again, right? That's what drives us to short-term solutions, right? Drug abuse, alcohol abuse, sex abuse, whatever it is. Instead of doing long terms, facing those demons and fighting those demons. And so part of finding that joy and that love for yourself again is getting into things, right? Forcing yourself to get up and do things that brings that back to you, right? Brings that control back into your life, right? A lot of the times when we get into depressions because we lose control. But ultimately, what we do have control over is ourselves. And, that's why I tell you guys, get into new things, right? I know a lot of women love crochet, right? Knitting and crocheting. For my ladies out there, try to get into some of that. Gardening even, it's just some ideas, And for my boys, look, try craftsmanship, man. I love making these dioramas. I really do. I love filming them. I love editing and all that stuff. I love to do it, right? Ultimately, what that is doing, right, is that just like how you get a dopamine rush, right, when someone maybe compliments your shoes or compliments your jacket or whatever, maybe it's your beard, it's whatever. I know I have a great beard. So too do you get a dopamine rush when you make something and you post it, right? Or you share something that you love doing and someone's like, dude, that's fucking awesome, dude. That is so good. That is great. It's one of the coolest feelings. It really is, because then someone recognizes you and you feel heard again. You know what I'm saying? That's why I tell you, get into new things, right? And then also it doesn't hurt, to put yourself in situations where you're surrounded by other people who may be even doing the same things. You know what I'm saying? Like find a biking group, find maybe a pottery group, where you're making pottery and stuff. I don't know. It might be something that you're interested in, or maybe it's a painting group, just something where you could be involved with other people, right? And perhaps you might find someone who has been through the same things you have and who can give you some good information, but also remember to keep that you are the one that gets you out of your depression, right? Never lean on someone else to get you out of anything. That's you, and that's all you, right? Yeah, you can definitely get some information from someone, right? And some advice, and some good advice. But, right, we're responsible for our own actions, right? And you've got to take accountability when you do that. And so if you receive the information and you're not doing anything about it, you can't be helped. You have to help yourself, right? And so it's with here. It starts with here. It really does. And that's the hardest thing to do, is starting this back up, rewiring it essentially. Because I know how hard it is. I really do. I know how hard it is to get up in the bed, or excuse me. I know how hard it is for those days when it seems kind of impossible to get out of the bed. I understand that completely. You would just rather lay there and sleep all day. But you can't do that, right? You got to get up and do something, right? And so finding that thing that gets you out of the bed, a passion, is ultimately what is going to drive you, not to just want to get out of the bed, right? But want to live a fulfilling life, right? For me, YouTube has become that, because I can share the things that I share with you, and I can help you, even if it's just one person, right? And so that is my passion, and that's what drives me. And so that is something that I can recommend to you. that can help you get out of your depression. Um, Now, not everyone is going to take a passion such as YouTube, right? Maybe something else, right? The only thing I'm doing is I'm trying to give you ideas, okay? That's the only thing I'm trying to do. Um, but maybe it's not, helping people is something that is your passion, right? But it maybe helping yourself is your passion. And that's not necessarily selfish, right? Because I'm talking about financial situations. A lot of people find themselves in financial situations today, right? And external factors such as that, puts us into a depression. And so a lot of us would just want to make more money to live life. That's perfectly reasonable, right? And so, maybe entrepreneurship is something that you're interested in. Maybe it's finding another job. Maybe it's learning different skills to get into another job. I know plenty, well, not personally, but I've seen plenty of stories where people would even put their names out there, right? Maybe on socials, different socials or whatnot, and have learned different skills to get hired into another career field. I saw an amateur welder that was, showing some videos welding, learning how to weld, and put his name out there, put his name out there, and eventually he got hired into, a welding company. And so, it's stuff like that, but it's always internal, right? And so, again, that's why I harp on it so much. Again, it starts here, right? You have to do this here. Okay? That's first and foremost. Because only when you start here is when you can find that passion, gain control back in your life, and find something that truly makes you happy, right? When you have those three things, you can't be stopped. You really can't. So, hopefully I was able to help you guys out a little bit. Again, if you guys happen to have your own experiences and your own thoughts, please let me know. I read the comments, I respond to them, and I'm just interested to hear what you guys have to say. So, I'd love to hear from you. And yeah. So, thank you guys for doing all that you do. If this video helped you out, please like, share, subscribe, especially commenting as well. YouTube really cares about commenting. The algorithm, the way the algorithm works is that the more people engage with a channel or a video, the more that video or channel is going to be seen, right? And so that's why I always ask you guys, engage as much as possible. Because there are more people that need to hear this message. There are more people that really need help, right? And any way that I can help them, or I can help you, right? Let's do that, okay? So I consider every single one of you a part of my family. I love you all. You guys are rock stars and you are crushing it out there. And I just want to give a moment to you guys to really thank you for all that you are doing. Look, days are going to be rough. Times are going to be hard. That's understandable. But just know you will always have me. My door is always open. Always. All you got to do is just walk through it. I'm always here, okay? So just reach out. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid. I don't bite, except on Saturdays. And it's not a Saturday, so you guys are lucky. But you guys are always welcome to speak with me. Always. Just keep that in mind, because this channel is here for all of us to learn and grow together, right? To figure it out together. Because sometimes it takes a lifetime to figure things out, and that's perfectly fine. We're human, so but we also have each other as well, and that's important. So again, if this video helped you, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's the whole point of this, is to help you, right? For all of us to benefit, but to help you. That's the whole point. And so Please remember to take care of yourselves, okay? Both mind and body, especially the mind, which is what we're talking about here throughout the entirety of the video today. If you got to talk to someone, go talk to somebody. If you got to talk to a professional, go talk to a professional, okay? I am talking to a therapist right now going through EMDR. For those of you who don't know, it's a program, right, for PTSD trauma, or PTSD treatment. So don't be afraid to talk to somebody, right? Don't be afraid to, okay? Be encouraged to, right? Look forward to doing it, because that'll help you out. Long term, it'll help you out. So, but also, please lift each other up as well. Do not tear each other down, okay? Don't tear each other down. We're here to give the right information. We're here to be truthful, but we are also here to lift each other up, all right? We want to make sure this is home for people. That's why I call it the home turf. That's why I'll call you guys my families. My families. That's why I call you guys my family, all right? Because I want to make you feel at home here. So, also, please, I missed this too. Get fit. Get fit, stay fit, all right? It's incredibly important for everything. Your self-defense, for fertility, for longevity of life, right? Yeah, absolutely. Do you have to go to the gym? I would recommend going to the gym, but do you have to? No. What I would say is that get active of some kind, even going for some walks, right? That's good. It's good. All right, some cardio, that's perfectly fine. So just make sure you're active, okay? I'll leave it there, guys. Thank you so much for watching. You guys are awesome. I love you all. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.